Hello and welcome everyone to quiz number 7 of इस podcast को क्या नाम दूँ? I am your प्यारी S
I'm Ridz.
and we are here to test if Ridz knows IPK or not. She does.
Or not.
Yes. Once again, we'd like to thank you all for subscribing and giving views and loving our channel. And we would love if you could help us reach 1,000 subscribers by September. September is my birthday month. It would mean a lot to me. And we do something special for you all. Jo bhi tum chaho, whatever you guys want.
Within limits.
Yes, of course.
I'll not be showing my face.
So, Rick, before the quiz starts, I will give you a rundown of how today's quiz would be. So, there are 4 sections. There is one audio section where you will listen to a certain clip and you have to identify from where it is. Then I will ask you to quickly list out certain things. The time is not going to be of constraint because I know that some of the questions I prepared, you would have a long answer for them, and I would not like to limit you to 7 seconds. I would like the audience to be privy to the saltiness that you can have. Then there will be 5 questions that I'll ask you about IPK. And last minute, there will be 5 off-screen pictures, which when after viewing, you'll have to let me know what scene they were probably shooting for.
All right.
How ready are you?
I don't know, but I'm sure my expectation from myself is that I would get an average score.
And what do you define by average?
I'd say 7, 8. 7 to 8.
Keeping realistic expectations. That's Ridz for you all. So, are you ready?
And no, it's mostly like, going with low expectations so that if you meet them, you're happy. If you exceed them, you're ecstatic. This is how I go through life. I am ready. Are we addressing the big elephant in the room first, or will I be doing this at the end?
I think you'll get room to address the elephant.
All right, amazing, cool.
There is an elephant in the room, guys, due to which we're
a giant one. We are recording this off schedule because there's something I needed to get off my chest, like immediately, and this is the only avenue available to me.
I see. So, this is the first section 1 audio round, question number 1. Identify this clip.
एक हो गई हमारी धड़कन, पता नहीं कैसे, पता है क्यों? वैसे क्यों से क्या फर्क पड़ता है? हो गई है.
Is this my chance to explain the situation? Because I'm pretty sure Kushi's drunk, which means this is Holi.
Yes.
Yes. So.
And I don't give to explanation. First, give me the scene.
But is this the scene where she's talking to Sham about... Well, Sham's being a creep, asking her about their marriage, etc., etc., and because she's very drunk and very in love, but sad. But still, it's Sham, so she's like, I will torture you by telling you all the good things about how in love with Arnav I am.
I know. Ab batao, ab.
All right. So, the thing that I wanted to address today, the betrayal, the disservice that was done was that, remember episode, like a couple of episodes ago, how I was like, work's really hectic. I don't have time to film. I barely remember what IPK is. In that mind frame, I made a list of top 10, top 5 from me and 5 from S, list of looks where Arnav looked his best. Now, everyone in the world knows at this point, I like a man in a white button-down shirt more than most things in the world. And given how tired I was and given how long it's been since I watched IPK, I made a major mistake in not listing out one of potentially my favorite look of IPK, and my co-host, who is supposed to be here for me always. You know, that person who's supposed to lift me up when I'm feeling down, correct me when I'm going wrong, all other cliches, apparently took a look at my list and thought that I thought this look was too good to be in the top 10, and I would call it out separately that it needs its own defining moment, which I suppose it's getting now. But that's what she thought. And then when we recorded and I did not mention this look, what did she do? She did not bring it up at all. Of course, the look I'm talking about is Arnav's white button down shirt during Holi with his blue jeans and red color on his face where he just looked unholy. Ha! Pun. But yeah, that scratch everything I said in that video. Forget it. This is his best look. Only remember this moment. And S's betrayal.
मेरा कोई दुख. I am not how am I responsible for this?
Because you didn't remind me.
I keep on forgetting everything every single day.
Doesn't matter. What? I listed off like 3 cliches that you're supposed to be for me, and you did not address any of those. You're supposed to remember the things that I forget, like I do for you.
Ridz,
Huh?
I don't remember half of the things myself. In spite of seeing your list, I forgot what's in your list.
Are you just trying to insult me more?
No, I'm saying I forgot.
This is going down the wrong direction. This is like that I love you all over again.
Oh my god, Ridz, I'm saying I'm forgetful.
Huh? Okay, then why didn't you mention it when you first looked at it and you were like, she didn't have this on her list?
I thought you, as you said, Your Honor, as you said that I thought that you're going to give some grand gesture or some grand that screw this list. Arnav is the hottest in Holi. So I let you have your moment.
Which I did not. And then Mansi had to remind me. Imagine how terrible I felt in that moment. Absolutely devastated.
I mean, based by the yelling texts on my phone, yes. I can understand your devastation.
So anyway, if I ever film a top 10 betrayals of this podcast, Kya Naam Do? I'm sure this would be one that would not make the list because it's so good that it possibly could not fit in a top 10.
How dare you? How dare you? I am taking offense to this. Listen, Bitwa, listen. This quiz just started.
I don't care if I get a 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever on this quiz. I needed to get this point out.
I made this whole damn quiz.
I already won this quiz because I did what I wanted to do here.
Shut up. I made this whole quiz so as to you could say your man ki baat and you're saying...
Ha! And I said my man ki baat. This is my man ki baat. You know how people do like highlights of their old podcast episodes? This would make the list. And I also love you would make the list. Please comment what other moments so far of our podcast would make that highlight list.
How dare you, Ridz? Please comment on the sweet things. I have been incredibly sweet to her. You guys know that.
Yeah, but that's not as memorable.
How dare you, you petty woman.
She's sounding British. All right, I'll stop.
You guys don't know how offended I am right now.
S has this habit of going into a British accent when she's either incredibly... What's the word I want to use for this? Uncomfortable, not in a bad way, but when she's uncomfortable. Oh my god, her face right now. Uncomfortable as you would feel when you saw Arnav in a white shirt, or offended. You go into a British accent.
Now, question number 2. Ye answer karke batao. What happened?
Maybe Devi Maya was like this, but I will not let this
Shut
happen.
up.
और एक दुनिया होगी
Okay.
कि हीर के बिना रांझा का कोई
You destroyed the... Cancel. cancelled. This clip is cancelled.
The clip is cancelled.
Yes. Yes.
For the record, that was the Dear Ranja play.
Shut up. It just we're going to skip this. Deduct 1 point.
Deduct 1 point?
No, okay. Due to technical difficulties, this particular clip would not be played. Take this one.
तुम मालिक हुई हो अपने ऑफिस में। अगर हमारी बिटिया को कुछ हुआ ना तो नंद किशोर की कसम तुम्हारा बैंड ना बचाया तो हमारा नाम मधुमती नहीं।
In that moment, I was Madhumati. Madhumati was me. This is when Arnav brings Khushi back from the guest house. Guest house, no? Guest house. You called the storeroom guest house so many times, I started confusing the two in my head.
ये भी मेरी गलती. Everything is my fault. Today is Shri.
Okay, there are only two people in this podcast, okay? I nothing is my fault, obviously. So
Guys, look at this Maharati. This perfect piece of human existence.
oh my god, I thought you were gonna say per piece of shit.
Really?
Sometimes as it's okay, I filled in the blank in my head. What was I talking about?
Madhumati.
Oh, yeah, this clip was from when Arnav brings Khushi back unconscious from the guest house, and Madhumati impersonates the anger I felt in that moment to tell Arnav to fuck off.
Yeah. Sahi jawab, right answer. Here's the next one. I'm not wearing glasses so as to she cannot see the scene in my reflection. Yeah, she can go to that level. She will go to that level.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Hey, एक मिनट नन्ना, what does खुशी जी mean कि तुम वैसे नहीं हो? इस बात का क्या मतलब हुआ? Come on, अब तुम खुशी जी को दिखा दो कि तुम कैसे हो, okay?
Is this from their Mehendi? Second?
Is that your final answer?
I think this is from their second wedding. Must be, because NK is trying to incite him to do something. There's a slight echo, so maybe he's talking into a mic. This could be Sangeet. I'll say there's Sangeet during their second marriage.
Do you want me to lock the answer?
Sure.
You're right.
I'm starting to listen to things. I mean, I listened before, but more closely.
Yes, this is when NK very Ridz-like insinuates to the public that Arnav and Khushi have done everything except that. And everyone is shocked. And I just love it how Arnav Khushi don't even pause to think that how would NK get that information. I think NK was being very sly, but basically he meant that Arnav never proposed to Khushi. And then Khushi's like, yay, Arnav, you should propose me. And Arnav is like, we're literally sitting in our Sangeet. What do you think is happening? And
this is why NK is the perfect match for me. But outside of it, I would not have known. I mean, this was a complete guess. I never watched Sangeet.
For traumatic reasons.
For traumatic reasons. For trauma. Like, I'm already in therapy. I don't want to pay more for extra therapy just because of this. I'm making S clutch her head so many times in this episode. It must be some kind of a record.
No, now this is the other one.
और मैं कभी हम नहीं बन सकते. सिर्फ आप हैं और सिर्फ मैं हूँ. और आप इस बात को हमेशा याद रखिएगा.
Okay, clearly one of the rejections. I felt like Pyle rejected him like multiple times. I mean, the one that I have not watched IPK from the beginning. I mean, I watched the scenes with Arnav and Khushi in them from the beginning, and I watched the episodes we have recorded the podcast for so far, but everything in between the terrace scene and what did we record? Lavanya's entry is a blur. Don't know. But to me, this does not feel like The coffee shop is the one place where she rejects his proposal. But I don't feel, I have a feeling this isn't that moment.
Then which one is this?
And Shashi was in the hospital. But I feel like they didn't have that relationship yet, or like any relate. Not that they ever had a relationship, but you know what I mean. Like they didn't have even enough for Akash to say anything. Did he ever like go to Lakshmi Nagar? Like, did they ever meet? I have not watched this scene. I'm making this up in my head right now. Did he ever go to like? Did they ever meet in Lakshmi Nagar for some reason? all I remember is like Akash looking sadly into the wind, like watching Payal from the window, and she's in a yellow dress or something.
Oh, this is not that. This is not that. I'll help you out, okay? Because you've never watched the scene, so you're doing a great job. The scene that you're thinking where Akash sadly looks into a window is after this conversation.
I know he goes to like the. I've never watched this scene, so I won't get it. But I assume it's like. What are the moments? Like, they meet. He gets his car fixed at Happy G's garage. She goes to the house, but even then, I don't think they have this conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna get this one.
It's when Akash proposes to Payal.
I know he proposed to Payal based on the conversation, but I don't remember where, when, kyun, kaise.
Akash is wearing a white shirt.
Must not have been very, very memorable if I didn't remember. I mean, I didn't watch it, so there is that.
It's the night when Arnav and Khushi are talking about their parents as stars. That's when Akash sends a little boy to fetch Payal to a place
No
in
memory of
Lakshmi
this. I've never watched this scene.
You'll actually like this scene, to a place in Lakshmi Nagar where he has it all decorated and pretty. Dude actually gives a sweet proposal.
Oh, yeah. The only reason I even know about the coffee shop thing is because it's an Arnav and Khushi scene. Like, it merges into an Arnav and Khushi scene.
Yeah. And here is the last audio.
आपको हमें बताना होगा.
Excuse me? बताना होगा. खुशी कुमारी गुप्ता बोल रही है, हर वक्त उसके सर पे चढ़ा हुआ पागलपन.
हम सच जीते हैं और ये हमारी मांग है.
Khushi, for the record, one of the dumbest ass. Like, that's a bet you won. You could have asked for anything. There's clearly, like, you know 99% of the answer here. So why would you... I have some feedback for Khushi. Her performance review, if you will. Okay. I mean, given my passionate response, I know what scene this is. It would be hilarious if I get this wrong after all that, for entertainment purposes. But I'm pretty sure. You okay? I'm pretty sure this is the scene after he buys her bangles. Post. She's pretending to not show expressions on her face. Great. Yeah, they're on the poolside and Khushi's like, did you buy me the bangles? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, this is my ask. I want a bet. So tell me if you bought me these bangles. And then I was like, what if I did? I think that's what's happening.
So, bonus question. If you were in Khushi's shoes, what would you have asked Arnav?
Do you love me?
He would have died. Dude would have just straight died. Cardiac
if I was
arrest.
in Khushi's shoes, Arnav would have died long before the scene. So I think that's a moot point.
Like, the alternate question is, do you love me? Oh my god. Dude would have gone straight to hell.
I mean, why like skirt around the issue? That's what you're getting at, right? Like, if he bought you bangles, he feels something for you. He must have feelings for you. Just get to the point. This is why I'm never going to have like a cinematic love story. I'm too impatient for it.
All right. Now we're coming to section 2. You performed really well. You get 4. I will calculate later. You performed very well.
We're great at maths.
Yeah, you actually are. Now, Question number 1. Tell me 3 nice things that Sham actually did.
Like if you look at IPK from a certain perspective, Sham was actually the one that made the most sense. He decorated the Gupta house for Payal's birthday because Kushi was going to be late coming back from work before we realized he's a creep. This might be odd to put in the nice moment thing, but I will put it in for the hilarity of it. The only one time Anjali could have actually died accidentally, he saves her when the suitcase or something falls from the cupboard, and it would have probably given her a concussion. He he pulls her aside, and when he convinces Arnav and Nani to see each other's perspectives when it comes to Lavanya, he's very diplomatic. I really like that about him.
Mm-hmm.
Truly the only one that made sense in that house.
All the time. He always made sense. Dude's like character consistency of Sham Manohar Jha is like, I have never seen him in an episode and be like, this is a very non-Sham thing.
Until later episodes, yeah.
No, until later episodes, I'm just like, this is an alternate version of Sham, but it's still Sham.
Sure. I just think Sham would have found much like the Sham that we know and love from the beginning of the show would have found much cleverer ways of dealing with certain things.
Yes, he would have. All right, question number 2. 3 times you wanted to murder Buaji.
When she taught, like, this very bad, like, first impressions, terrible. When she tells Kushi that she must have, when Payal's first marriage breaks, when she tells Kushi that she must not care, or like she must be lax because she's not an actual sister to Payal or something like. Yeah, that moment. This isn't a moment, but like there a Kushi's engagement scene with Tisham, like it's just like the amount of pushing that woman did to get Kushi to that point. Like if Buaji opened a marriage bureau, I feel like they could have overtaken Arnav in wealth. Because who could stop that tsunami? Certainly not me. Another moment would be when she was about to slap Kushi when she found out about the marriage. I thought that was completely unnecessary.
Yep. Question number 3. 3 loopholes in IPK.
I'll pick the ones that like are small but frustrate me personally.
Mhm.
Because otherwise I'll go into a rant that I'm sure I went on at some point.
This whole quiz has been more of you ranting about me and your...
No. I mean, like, specifically a rant about loopholes. This was a rant about betrayals. That's different. You brought it up. The one, the fact that Kushi never gets the letter from Arnav's mom bugs the hell out of me. Like it for me, that was the moment I emotionally connected with Anjali and Arnav. Like when they have that conversation about I personally think his mother's letter was, how do I put this? Well intended. Terrible message.
I mean, the only reason why I defend that letter is because she probably wrote it when Arnav was 10 or something and she was teasing him.
Huh. I understand. But it's just like the way it was used is that, this is like this emotional, this is the message that she left behind. And I was always just like, well, it just triggers that part of me that, like, Indian marriages and patriarchal society, and the wife's supposed to be the fix-all for a guy's issues.
Kind of romanticizes Arnav's anger.
Right. Which shouldn't be done at all. But yeah, given that it was written when he was a child, etc., I could like find ways to justify it. Anyway, I hate the fact that the way she received his mom's bangles is one of the most heartbreaking scenes. The fact that Arnav never knows that Kushi sold her mom's bangles to get him those plants. When Lavanya's about to leave, that was the other one. The third one, I think, is the major what the fuck moment. Is Arnav never really realizes, or there's not a single moment of like, oh, I fucked up. Like Kushi did not I had a misunderstanding, and this is not what happened. Like that was never explicit.
Yeah. You're so right. I am always pitched that there's kind of an idea of Arnav being like kind of like a bigger person for loving Kushi despite his misunderstanding, and never a moment like we never have a reflection of him being I punished and innocent.
Because they didn't do that, they didn't do a lot of, like, it's a domino effect of not dealing with a lot of things. Like Kushi never has the realization that she was also mistaken in how she dealt with the situation.
Mhm.
The family doesn't like there's a lot of people who should have learned from the situation that never did, because the person at the core of it never really realized what he did.
Yeah. 3 scenes that should have been there in IPK.
That should have been there.
Like in your eyes, you feel like there were 3 moments that were missing in the show, and like 3 scenes that should have been there that would have tied the show.
I mean, they kind of like brush over this a lot, but the fact that Kushi was, for all intents and purposes, how do I put this? Like, she was in an abusive marriage. I think we both agree on that. For the majority of the show, her situation was not something you'd want anyone to be in. And they never showed Kushi being affected by it, like because that's something that causes trauma in a person that will last a while. Like, I wanted a scene where it could have been small, like maybe Kushi never wore bangles later or something, or like, I don't know, this is the character they set up, right? This girl hates speeding cars because her parents died in a car crash in a car she was never in. Like, this is an imagined trauma that she has. I assume she gets affected. Imagined is the wrong word, but like, she hates fast cars because her parents died in a car crash.
Oh, I always thought she was in the car when the car crash happened.
Oh, I don't know. I potentially that could be the thing, but either way, like, she is someone who is clearly impacted by her surroundings and the situations that she's in, even if she is a happy-go-lucky person. So just showing minor things like that, or maybe she never accepts Arnav's financial help in things or stuff like that. There should have been a scene that, like, or track that dealt with that. I would have really enjoyed it. I would have liked to see, like, Anjali didn't need to fall in love again, but I would have liked to see, is this Arnav and Kushi centric, or can I?
IPK.
Okay. I like the character growth in her. I like that she was independent at the end of this. Still hurt, but independent. But for me personally, I would have liked to see her like maybe starting to have something with someone. It just would have been nice to see a person who believed in love that much to have hope again. And then the other scene, I needed the family to realize that they fucked up when it came to Kushi. Because, again, I'm going back to the thing I said earlier, but because Arnav never realized it, the people around him never realized that Kushi was not at fault for this.
Yeah.
And I really, because for everything they put her through, I needed them to realize how much trauma they caused her.
Mm-hmm. And now the last question. This has become a very serious thing.
Yes. At this point, this isn't even a quiz. This is me giving Sandesh. What do they call it when preach? I'm preaching.
Yes. The last question is 2 times you didn't understand Anjali.
I didn't understand Anjali when she forces Kushi to work at Shantiwan. It's not that I didn't understand her, but I really hated her character in that moment. To everyone that like almost makes Anjali into a saint, these are the moments that I want them to recall, because there's every bit of that Raizada entitled assholery in her that exists in Arnav. I think that's one moment that highlights that. The other, that's probably it. I know Anjali's character, for the most part, like even her like behavior towards Sham later on, I think is very rooted in her, the gaslighting that Sham. She was an abuse survivor, and sometimes their behavior doesn't always make sense. Oh, no. This one. Why did I forget this? I think I blocked it out because of my own trauma. When Arna celebrates Kushi's birthday and she gets this like whole, my chote is like not mine anymore. And I was like, oh, rishte nahi hai. That was an old joke. Soch wahi rishte, what is it? Rishte wahi soch nahi is the official tagline, right?
हाँ, like,
And I used to say, soch wahi rishte nahi. Because that was a complete what the fuck moment for me.
yeah. All right. Now,
Going back to the quiz part of the quiz.
yes. Next section of the quiz is just quick what. So, question number 1. What did Arnav buy for Khushi on Raksha Bandhan? This sounds so weird.
Once again, soch wahi rishta nahi.
On Raksha Bandhan, not for Raksha Bandhan. that preposition makes a difference.
Chene, jalebi, pearl necklace. Yeah, probably.
What color sari does Khushi buy? Not buy exactly, like is gifted from by Nani with the help of Arnav's pseudo sleuthing, pointing out ways.
Pink and green. It's like hot pink.
Yeah, kind of borders to red, but yeah, I'll give you that.
Really?
It looks
That was
it
hot.
looks pink on Sony television where she wears it for Chanchan, but in IPK when she's holding it, it looks red. So I'm wondering if it's a matter of like color correction or editing, because at that time even like entire like Chanchan had a very weird like oversaturated color thing. So question number 3. Give me some examples of evidences Khushi found which drew her to the conclusion that Arnav was kidnapped.
Arnav saying, I love you. Do you want more? Like Arnav's flight, like the fact that he said he went to Scotland, but there were no flights to Scotland when at the time he left. Aman's call.
Yeah. Those two were literally the most sensible part of the kidnapping track. Like, I literally bought.
Oh yeah, it starts off very sensible. Like the fact that Kushi's bothered about it makes sense. They just really, they were like, they watched them. I mean, CID must have had great ratings at this point because they were like, we want to be that show, but terribly. And that's a feat.
Yes. Okay. Before Arnav frightens Khushi to hug him, essentially in the dark, which city was Arnav heading to?
Agra.
That long sigh, that sigh of what shit is Arnav doing was so prominent.
I would have hugged him with a knife pointed at him.
Last question. What does Khushi do to get Arnav's measurements and for what?
She she has him close his eyes and just feels him up top to bottom because he has very broad shoulders and muscular arms. And I'll save this for the actual episode, but I had an amazing moment of realization of Arnav's what the fuck happened face when he opens his eyes. And yeah, poor guy. What was going? Oh, she was measuring him for a suit. Pales in comparison to what Arnav thought he was getting, by the way. That's all I'll say.
Now to the last part of the quiz. You are to see these off-screen pictures and figure out what they were shooting for.
This was the kidnapping track right before. I don't know. Arnav rescues Khushi. Khushi rescues Arnav. I do not know how to describe this, but there's some rescuing happening.
Yes.
Rocky rescues them both. Really?
Indeed. I love you for that, Ridz. Now the next one.
Oh, this was the oh, was this that? This was Kya Bol Rahe Ho?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, for some reason I thought Khushi was very green in that scene, but it looks so familiar. Yeah, I think this was when Arnav goes to convince Payal that Akash is about to jump off a cliff.
This one.
Your favorite scene that you can never watch.
Yes.
This is the Bindis. This is the last good moment. This is where the show went downhill. The Bindi moment during Akash and Payal's marriage.
No, I don't think they went downhill here. I think the whole wedding and everything was perfect. Post-wedding, like from the temple, Arnav and Khushi come back, but the writers left. So,
What the romance is ends here. Like what I liked seeing in the romance kind of ends here.
yeah, it always breaks my heart that we never get this innocence, this thing.
And they couldn't have had it back, but we also just never get the anticipation that's there in these scenes. The build up that exists here it's never like they never have it again because she never has this I think from this point on she always has this suspicion of another shoe dropping.
Yeah.
Because this was the first build up, right? This was the build up to something that abruptly stops. So the next time she starts falling in love or continues loving Arnav, she always expects the worst, and it almost always happens.
Yeah. Also, I'm just dying at the way Varun is standing so as to his and Sanaya's
Yeah,
eyeline.
can match. Mm-hmm.
All right, next one.
This is the moment I referred to earlier, when Buaji's almost slaps Kushi, and Arnav comes in and stops her. I'm so mad at you, but you're also the only person who's making any sense right now.
I know.
There's so many scenes
And
like
this
that.
is again where in the show they try to all show us that Arnav is wrong for telling everyone that he's already married to Kushi and everyone else is right. And I'm like, can this woman be married once because she wants to be married? Like, why is everyone pressurizing her all the time?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always surprised how Barun looks like, I don't know, 10 years younger as himself in the off-screen pictures of the very same scene.
Still too much gel. Like, I
Yeah.
want to give his hair a good wash.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it could have used one.
And then the final picture.
I love the fact that when you look at off-screen pictures, you can clearly see that this is not Arnav Singh. This is what was this when Kushi yells at him for she kisses him on the cheek and they have that argument. I find this scene very cute because he's the one who's backing away from her. I don't know how to describe it. I guess she yells at him because he did she cut his he didn't pick up her call.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines.
Because he hurt her for the conversation they had the day before.
This is the deal pakki ho gayi scene.
Yeah.
That's how I describe it. Aman is the true star of the scene.
Aman needed to be a real character. Like, I wish they just asked Mohit or just any one of them in their friend group, who's not a part of the show, to just make a cameo as, how they do it in American shows, to make a cameo and be like Aman.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I realized how good an actor Barun is when I look at it off-screen pictures, and I'm just like, where do you bring out Arnav?
Really not Arnav. Yeah.
Yes, and
I'd like to have I don't know what the timeline is on actors or Barun's very diplomatic, so I don't imagine him doing this at any point of time in his career until he retires. But I would love to have an honest conversation about what he thought about Arnav's character.
Yeah.
Because he seems like a very sensible person.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine, remember in the very beginning episodes where he was like, Arnav is Kushi's lovely. Arnav's the khatarnak type. I'm like, oh boy, you don't know the half of it yet.
Yeah, no, even kind of around the beginning, this is not you're right, not way too beginning, but I just loved it in Barun's interview when they asked him, what do you like about Arnav Singh Raisa? And Barun just looks dead into the camera and he's like, there's nothing to like about it.
Same thing with Sanaya. She's like, I like Barun and Arnav's character. But that's the only nice thing she could say about it. And then it gets worse. So I'd love to have a honest chat about what they think about the characters. I'd love to know what they think, what Barun thinks of Arnav. And Sanaya thinks of Khushi. It'd be interesting.
I just always want to ask them if they ever read any part of the script and went like, what crap?
I am sure there were plenty of moments later on in the show where they were just like, if I was not getting paid very well to do this.
I mean, because I know Akshay went on record and he said like during the kidnapping track, like, what the shit is happening?
Yeah. They really stabbed him in the back with that character.
They did.
So.
And with that, Ridzi, you get your highest score ever because you only fumbled at one question, which was the Akash file. So you get a 9.875.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Exceeded my expectations.
Yes, and mine as well.
You should expect me to get a 10 always.
Yeah, that's also true. I expect the best for you, Ridz.
From me and for me. That's what friendship is. Also, from time to time, we can call each other betrayers. This is friendship with me. This is friendship with me. You signed up for it. I had no fault in this matter. You knew what you were saying. Okay, given the fact that you keep repeating that you read my story since you were whatever, a child, yes, would you deny that statement? She gave me this incredulous look.
I was 17.
Would you not consider that? I mean, I was 17 when I started writing. I was a baby too. But where was I going with this? Given the fact that you've known me for this long, I'll grant you that it's through my writing, you should have clearly known what you were getting yourself into when we became friends. So I accept no blame for this.
See, the amount of logic of you calling me a betrayer for no fault of me is the amount of logic Arnav said when he told Khushi that you're the biggest mistake of my life.
Which is a
I wish I
scene you
never
enjoy.
met you.
Look, you cannot deny that there is follow through with me. I made it entertaining. Called you a betrayer, but I made it entertaining. There was payoff. With Arnav, there's no payoff. So clearly I'm better.
See, that's why you're the better Arnav in my life,
Yes,
friends.
yes, agreed.
All the time. And with that, we are done with this episode that was completely shot at late night only because Ridz ki bharas nikalni thi. She had to address the elephant. She has been messaging me non-stop in loud words, anything related to Holi. Mansi, why did you comment that? Ever since you commented that, that is the one thing that has been a point of contention ever since. But now with that gone, I hope you like the rest of our episodes, the rest of our quizzes. Give us ideas on if there's anything specific you'd like us to discuss. Who knows? Maybe our next episode would be based on that.
Let us know if you would like a top 10 moments of the podcast at some point. I've already nominated 2.
Shut up. And with that, we come to an end of this episode, which should have been 20 minutes, but I bet it's close to an hour. Bye.